My wife told the biggest lie to her parents and family about what I do for a living, and I'm feeling absolutely crushed because now I think I'm not good enough. I've always respected women and all that they can do, but there's a special kind of woman when it comes to my wife. I've dated many women in my life, and I've yet to find someone as kind, selfless, as honest as her. I have always put anything on the line for her, and I know that I don't have much. The only job I have been able to keep is that of a bricklayer. It's a hard job, but knowing that I'm able to rent her an apartment and pay the bills is enough. She's always said that it is enough and that no one has treated her with so much kindness before, and that all her relationships have been so toxic. So, why has she done this to me? I wish that all the memories I had of her being kind were replaced by my bad memories instead. Maybe it would make what she did more bearable. I'd say I respect her because she's managed to spin such a web of lies that have left me pondering, why me? Natasha. Natasha has been my wife for over a year. I met her at the vet's office where she works. I'd gone to get my dog some medical attention because he had been sick for quite some time. I was mesmerized by her very kind voice, and soon the conversation shifted to other things. We kept on seeing each other throughout my dog's treatments up until, well, he passed away. The blow was lessened by her when she asked me out for coffee one day out of the blue. She was kind, hardworking, a loyal woman who made me want to be the best version of myself, but alas, I was not enough. When the relationship got serious, I introduced her to my parents, who absolutely loved her. I asked her if I could meet her family, but she told me stories. She told me that she did not get along with her family and wanted to have a life with me. I saw how traumatized she looked, so I did not ask any questions. But after we got married, I felt as if having them in her life would help. I come from a very loving home where having your family support means a lot to me. So, I started to probe further into the issue because I thought that they may have hurt her. She gave me vague answers, saying that her family's just toxic. I didn't mind if I had to deal with that, but knowing a little bit more about that woman that I was married to was definitely needed. We were going to have children together in the future. What if we needed to know of any genetic conditions, or if something happened to her and I have no one to call? I asked if they did to her was something that's unforgivable, until she admitted me that the reason she was not in their lives was that they were snobbish. Finally, after some begging, she told me that I could meet them at Thanksgiving dinner at her aunt's house. I wore my best clothing, got a haircut, as my fussy wife told me to, and I went along with her demands. Her aunt was moneyed, but I did not really care. She had a huge family, and they were all so excited to see me that it was unnerving. I also had the feeling that some of them were strange. They kept on making jokes about the medical field, and then looking at my wife in a weird glance. She didn't seem to mind. I thought they were trying to joke with her because she is a veterinarian. That was until she saw my father-in-law, and he asked her how long I've been practicing and where I worked. Would you believe the words that came out of my wife's mouth? He had been talking to her, but he was so tall that she did not see me behind him. She lied, said I went to medical school and I've never heard of, and I was a pediatrician working at a children's hospital. A woman who was next to her said that she had lucked out by getting such a fit, young and rich husband, unlike Sophie, who had to settle for a man who owns a bakery. I wondered what was wrong with a bakery. My wife has always been a person who doesn't believe in talking down on other people, but she answered with a hefty laugh, as if I would ever let a dirty man touch me. Well, rage filled me. I pushed her dad aside and asked her what she had just said. Guilt. I saw it. Guilt filled her eyes. And she mouthed for me to not say anything more than she dragged me with a vice grip of her arms. She kept on walking until we were on the balcony and closed the door. I started asking her why she would lie about my job, but then she started crying. She said she hated how she became when it came to her parents, but that she was just trying to protect me. She told me that if she had told them what I actually did, they wouldn't accept me. She said that she was going to tell her parents at some point, but she wanted them to get to know me first. Before I could protest, she reminded me this. I told you never to doubt me. Have I ever failed you? Name a time when I failed you. And, well, I could not. Sure, she had underestimated just how rich and rude her family was, but she had also protected me. But I told her that she had to tell them the truth very soon, as in yesterday, because I did not believe in lying one bit. She said, okay, but I have to play along for now. I'm ashamed to say I played along like a puppet pulled by her strings. It went on for a week. Her family was always just texting me and inviting us places, and she did not decline those invitations for someone who hated that lifestyle, huh? Well, I refused to have anything to do with those gatherings because I knew that I was no doctor, and I would get caught before she told the truth. I asked her to tell the truth more than once, but she was falling into the glitz and glam of her former life, and I was losing her. I could see it. It was a pity that I thought I could save her. My best friend, who has never said a bad word about her, told me that I have to leave if she kept this up, or she would leave me once she was seduced by her former life. I went home that night determined to tell her that she had to tell them the truth, or I felt like we needed to rethink our future. She once again swayed me with her crocodile tears and told me she would tell the truth when her parents came for dinner. Alas, it was just another ploy that landed us in more trouble than before. I felt there was no way she would keep up the character and charade because our place is very modest, but I underestimated her. When I come home from work the day at the dinner, it was a renewed apartment. She had bought a lot of new things that we did not need. I told her immediately to send them back. She said she could not because her parents were on the way. I told her I don't care, and asked who she had to talk to about doing this because she had not spoken to me about it once. I asked her where she got the money. She told me our joint account, and most of the stuff is on credit. As soon as I heard that, I dialed the bank to hear if I could reverse the transactions, but then she asked me if I really wanted to make our child's grandparents reject it while it was not even born yet. What? She's pregnant? Now it explained how weird she's been. I feared making her even more upset, so I let her keep the stuff, but only for the day. Then it would go back because we would need the things for our child. I wasn't mad at her anymore. She was a human, just like anyone else, and it would not be fair for me to hold her to an impossible standard. Plus, she was not the only one with good news. I've been talking to some extra people just to get some extra jobs. It's on the weekend and saving my money. Because of that, I can now start my own small construction company with my best friend. We've been trying to get the company registered and the legal stuff out of the way for ages, but it's finally done. I didn't have the skill set to give a better job, so I thought, why not create it so that I can give my family what they truly deserve? It would suck that I would have to keep this lie up, but I didn't want to lose my wife and child. I just couldn't. She really had me where she wanted me. Dinner came, and everything was going smooth. I was getting to know more about her parents, and we were all just teasing her. I figured that lying so that we could keep the peace was probably the best idea, because the alternative was something that I could not survive. I don't drink alcohol, but my wife drinks. She does not drink much but a glass of wine before going to bed. But that night, knowing what I knew, I thought she wouldn't drink. I thought we were both having the non-alcoholic champagne, as she told me. Up until, she stood up to go to dessert and fell. Luckily, I caught her, but I smelt her breath and it reeked alcohol. I asked if maybe she had enough to drink, and she told me that she was not drunk. I told her quit lying, taking her glass and smelling it, then tasting it. It was white wine, her favorite kind. I knew it because she once got me drunk on it, but I quit drinking a long time ago. She was getting aggressive, and she told me that her parents were right. And not saying anything, but here I was acting like I was her mom or dad. Her mom and dad just sat there and watched her, not even shocked at her behavior. I asked why she would put our child in danger like that when she was pregnant, and her mom said, "What? How could you be pregnant?" Natasha told me to shut up. She did not know where I got that story from, but she was not pregnant. I guess she's had too much to drink, which was why I did not like her drinking, because alcohol turns her into a big baby. Her mom laughed and asked what kind of doctor I was that was unsure if my wife was pregnant or not. And even if she was, a little wine would not hurt the child. That was when I snapped and asked, I'm not a doctor at all, and I guess your daughter's not pregnant. But she told me that so that she could keep this fancy table you're eating at. Their jaws dropped to the floor. I was overwhelmed, shaking with anger. I left the three of them arguing in the living room and went to our room. And there, I broke. I'm a man. I'm not supposed to cry, but I could not help the bitter tears. I'd seen the bad side of the woman I've married, and it was not pretty. It was just, I don't know. I was never going to be enough of her. She was not proud of me. She knocked at the locked door, angry with me, and telling me to be a man and face her. She said that she loved me, but she wished I was not so poor. I opened the door and told her that I'd registered my company that morning, and I wanted to tell her before I saw what she did with the furniture. For once, she was speechless. Her dad behind her asked if this was what her husband was, some small-time businessman. I told him no. I was the dirty bricklayer that her daughter swore she would never allow her to touch her. His face turned stormy, and he asked her how could she embrace his whole family like that. Her mom starts laughing, saying that she knew Natasha would never become anything. After all, she was a mere veterinarian. Natasha stood there, listening to their insults. Tears started forming in her eyes, and despite my anger, I just instinctively reached out my hand to comfort her, but she pushed my hand away and then shouted at me, "This is all your fault. My whole family will laugh at me. Why did you not tell me that you were registering a business? Because then I won't have to lie." So my job mattered more to her than how much I loved and cared for her. What a good life, a comfortable life, and we planned to do so much more. Yet here she was telling me that I was not good enough. Her dad said that he was disappointed in her for letting a low-class nobody like me marry her, and that he would never live down the embarrassment. He told her that she had to leave me, and then she was silent. She opened up and closed her mouth several times, but I spoke for her, said, "Pack your things and leave. I don't want to see you and your family in this house ever again. Go get married to someone good enough for you." Well, she did not even try to protest. She pushed past me and started packing, I guess. Her father told me that I've mistreated his daughter, and he would make sure that no one would ever hire me in this town. I have had enough. His wife was busy looking around at my home in disgust. I grabbed both of them and had them out the door before they could even finish blinking. She followed them out sooner after, and she had tears on her face. Instead, she had the look of a spoiled girl who had not gotten her way. When she left, I sat in silence for a long time. Then I threw the glass of her wine at the walls. It broke, like my trust in her. The next few days were absolute disaster. I didn't see her again. I sent every piece of furniture that she bought back. I threw out all the pictures that we were once happy with. I knew it was over. Then she had chosen them over me. I cursed myself for begging her to look for her family and to introduce them to me. If I had not forced her to take me to this Thanksgiving dinner, she would not have turned into this monster. She was not perfect before, and I was not as well, but I knew in my heart she was a good person. Now I think that she was just with me to feel normal, or make herself feel better, or run from her true self, but her nature was revealed itself in the end. The only times I saw her after that were on social media, where she seemed to haunt me. Her kind eyes had turned icy, and her once beautiful smile was now cruel and self-righteous. The divorce was crystal clean. There was no correspondence between us. I didn't want anything from her, but my mother felt differently. I had a lawyer, but my mother's sharp wit is what gained my alimony. I did not have to give her anything in the house. She was the one who had to pay me. Her parents were awfully sour about it, but it felt great to have the very last laugh. When they filed for divorce, they tried to make things hard for me and accuse me of things that I would never do, but I guess their plan fell apart. My parents and my friends stood by me, and I was able to face the difficult situation with my head held high. Oh, Natasha, Natasha, Natasha. You had a caring husband who was ready to give you the world, what little world he had. He was creating his own business, and he had such a future looking. But you had to go behind his back and make all these lies just so you could look a little bit better in the family eyes. Well, I hate to say it, but karma seems like it went for Natasha, and it got a grip of her very, very swiftly. Guys, let me know your thoughts about this story. What exactly would you have done differently? Or maybe you would do it the same. If you were OP, and you find out lie after lie after lie after red flag over and over, and you know what? You just can't take it anymore. You want divorce. Let me know if you agree with what OP did, or you think it was too drastic. Maybe they could have gone to couples counseling. Let me know your thoughts. My name's Mr. Reddito. If you guys are new to the channel, welcome. I read stories every single day, covering as many topics as I can find, usually dramatic, inheritance, mother-in-law dramas, bridezillas, you name it, even Am I the A-Holes. If that's something you're into, consider subscribing to the channel. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.